I am speaking with Taylor Bradford, as we do every week. Hi, Taylor.
Hey, guys.
Hi. So there are some Webster Street school project stories in the Gloucester Times this week. Do you want to give us some updates?
Yeah, so we've been covering this story since the very beginning, and it's not only the narrative of the combination of East Gloucester Elementary School and veterans, but also the narrative of residents versus the city when it comes to kind of preserving land that the city wants to build on. Now, if you remember, we covered and have talked in the past about a group of residents suing both the MSBA, the state's Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, and the city over school consolidation irregularities, open space access, and environmental injustice as Gloucester seeks to build a new elementary school on the site of Meadows Field at 11 Webster Street. Now, a judge actually last week, our reporter Julie Manganis went to court and covered as an Essex County Superior Court judge had a hearing for the lawsuit, hearing both sides and learning more about the narrative that is the argument of the plaintiffs and the city as the city seeks to dismiss the case or requesting that the judge dismiss the case. So that happened last Thursday. And the judge, Thomas Dressler, appears pretty poised that Thursday to throw out at least part of the lawsuit brought by the Gloucester residents, stating that just because you can file a lawsuit doesn't mean that you should, noting that the fact that they brought this forward as they were frustrated with the fact that the school is being built doesn't mean that all of their allegations have grounds. He repeatedly called out both procedural errors and what he suggested was misrepresentations by the plaintiffs of what the law actually required the city to do. It also was noted that during the hearing, they, meaning the residents who had filed the lawsuit, were forced to acknowledge that some of the allegations that they had made in their complaint were based either on issues that have now been addressed by the city or legal errors. So, the judge noted at the end of this meeting that he's going to be taking this matter under advisement, but also said that he expects to decide soon whether to grant the city's request to dismiss the case. So we'll be hearing quite soon whether or not this lawsuit is dropped or if it continues on in court. I think it's one that everyone who's involved in it is sitting on at the edge of their seats on, because for the MSBA and for the city, they won't get refunded by MSBA until this lawsuit is over, as we know we've covered in the past. So they're really wanting this to end, and the residents are wanting this to end in their favor, as the city looks like they're plowing along with the project, and they're really trying to emphasize that you're getting rid of a treasure and of something that's of value to the city when you build a school here on 11 Webster Street. But as I said, again, the city, as they're navigating this lawsuit and waiting to hear back from the judge, they made an announcement last week this Tuesday that they will be putting up a construction fence at Meadows Field, essentially closing it down to the public as they start site work. So it seems that things are moving quite along for the city and the school district, but we'll continue to report and see what else happens next.
So, and the governor was in town yesterday. We're talking on Thursday. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so the governor was here on Thursday, and he actually hopped over to one of my favorite spots here in Gloucester, which is the Haskell Pond Reservoir, right by the Red Rocks Conservation Area. But he wasn't there to hike or climb. He was there to give an announcement about grants that both Gloucester and 27 other communities would be receiving for dam and seawall reconstruction projects all across the Commonwealth. So he and Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito announced that they're going to be giving over $17 million to 32 dam and coastal infrastructure projects across 28 cities and towns within the Commonwealth as a part of their dam and seawall program. Now, this program has given money in the past, but I think it's important to note just the size of money that Gloucester will be receiving as they look to restore and ensure the safety of these dams and infrastructures that, again, we live and we work in an older community. So these projects are really important to keep things alive and keep things well. And so the city of Gloucester receives $63,300 for the design and permitting of Haskell Pond Dam, storm and seismic improvements, $1 million for the construction of Haskell Pond Dam, and a little bit over $2 million for the construction of flood mitigation barriers at Gloucester High School. So that's a lot of money. And again, it's not the first time that this program has given money to Gloucester for these projects, but it is a sizable note as they continue into the next phases of these projects. And, as the city mayor and governor noted, 30% of Gloucester's drinking water comes out of these ponds and these dams and dikes. And so it's really important that these infrastructures stay well and stay up to code. And this particular dam, Haskell Pond, is over 100 years old. So that's like a very old dam holding a lot of important water. And I think the mayor said it best when she said, I don't want to be flooded out and I don't want to be without water. So what does that mean? That means it's coming together in order to ensure that, those things don't happen, that they can protect. And this was a group team effort. Both the governor and the mayor continue to say that. And it's important to note that, this was the mayor's office, this was DPW, this is the community development department, and so many more hands were a part of this process. And Gloucester's not the only one to receive. Again, there's 28 communities. It's important to note that Essex also received some grant money for their coastal construction of the Canomo Point seawall, which was damaged back during 2018 storm. And, our surrounding communities of Salem and Peabody and Ipswich also received funding as well. Polito and the governor all just noted that it's so important that they focus on this, even though we have a pandemic going on, even though we need to focus on the COVID numbers, how important it is that these grants will help municipalities such as Gloucester make substantial progress and maintain and repair aging dams and seawalls as we continue to see climate change, as we continue to see degradation due to use. And so, again, I don't think this narrative is over. It seems that the governor is very invested in continuing this program to ensure that people have their drinking water, that the estuaries and the areas just around are able to stay around. So it'll be exciting to know. It was very hot. It was very, I think, lively over at Haskell Pond. I can give a little bit of just a picture for people to see. It's gaggle of reporters and tons of city and local officials just standing in the heat and very excited for the news. And I know a lot of out of towner reporters were really excited to hear about COVID updates as the CDC made announcements about that. But the governor was very adamant that they're planning and they're working to respond to COVID. But this particular meeting was really about the dams, and just really important to think about things. As we try to continue on with life, there are things that we have to focus on, and the dams and reservoirs and seawalls are some of the most important, especially here in Gloucester and Rockport.
And why did the governor choose Gloucester as a site to make this announcement?
So that's a great question. He answered just that in the press. He emphasized that he was there in Gloucester to make the announcement because, and I quote, Gloucester is on the front lines in the effort to adapt to the impacts of climate change. And we've seen that through small nonprofit organizations. We've seen that through the city. Especially as we have in Gloucester and Cape Ann, so much of our drinking water comes from dams. So it's a perfect example. And, other representatives from other towns, I believe another mayor was there and a couple other people, a part of environmental agencies were there. And it's exciting to see just so many other people come and say, he's going to make the announcement here, but this is a collaborative effort as we're all trying to seek the same type of change. So.
Well, Taylor, thank you so much. And I understand you'll be visiting the Ipswich River watershed tomorrow, and you will be doing one of your wonderful written hiking events. So we look forward to reading that and hearing more about it next week.
All right. Sounds great. Hope you have a great day and happy trails.
Thank you, Taylor.